Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. It is I, Badger, back for some more League of Legends Season 10 action. We are here tonight for two lads teams that are in a very similar situation. Two lads teams that are both full of long-term veteran members of the community, but both teams that have, in many a way, had a relatively rough season. Both these teams have played 6 series total. Both of them are fairly deep into the red win-loss wise. SenseiRaven1, they're currently 3-9. Funny Zone are currently 4-8. Is that correct? That sounds correct. So both teams that are certainly not doing as well as they would have hoped going into the season, but still teams full of these long-term, tenured veteran lads players. Regardless, should be a relatively even series, just given the circumstances regarding these teams. We're already seeing the all chat begin from both teams. Apparently, there will not be a no all chat call tonight. Seeing some already interesting stuff between Smiley and Fatalness. There is some certainly long-term established beef between Smiley and Fatal that they have been beefing for the last like 8 seasons of lads, so shouldn't be too shocking why we're at the situation we are tonight with the all chat hostilities. Looking over at heroes, though, we have Marcy, Io, Dawnbreaker, Night Stalker bans, all smart bans. Three the top heroes of the patch currently, of course, and then you have this Io hero who not only functions as one of the top heroes in Dota, but also a hero that Ka is exceptional at playing. Notably, they ignored the Ka Earth Spirit in terms of bans, but Ka apparently thinks so lowly of the hero currently that they didn't even bother to pick it with that first phase. We have 5-pick Visage into 6-7 DP Tiny into 8-pick Clockwork. We have been seeing a lot of Clockwork recently. That is for sure. I mean, we're seeing it's fundamentally picked as this, both in the pro scene and the amateur scene, as this flex hero where you could put it in either support role, either 4 or 5. You could put it mid. There's a lot of places you can put a Clockwork, and obviously the way the hero will function dramatically changes from, say, 2 to 5. But it's fundamentally you go in, you use cogs, use battery assault with battery assault buffs, you be useful. You buy whatever items your team needs to function around your hero.
10 seconds remaining.
I wouldn't be too shocked if it ends up being mid here. I feel like that's kind of like a Ned hero in terms of playing it mid. I think it's the style of hero that Ned would enjoy playing mid, but it's probably not going to be mid. It's probably going to end up being a support instead. Either for Aurora in the 5 role or for Jake Hurto in the 4 role.
10 seconds remaining.
It's a bit of a bold Visage pick doing it this early at the 5 pick, but I guess they're that confident in their Visage play. I believe we'll be I believe it's Jax that plays the Visage for this team. I could be wrong, but I believe he will be the Visage player for this team, playing it in the offlane. We have been seeing primarily Visage being played as 3 in the pro scene recently. I wouldn't be too shocked if it is Jax's hero. I don't think he ended up really playing it too much when we were on a team together, but Visage also was not really in the meta yet when me and Jax were teaming last season. So apparently both me and Jay Curto will not stop talking about Ka Spirit right now. So apparently that's where we're at right now, is Ka Spirit being discussed by both me, the commentator, and the 4 support of the Radiant team. So wouldn't be too shocked if it happens, but it's probably not. Probably going to end up being different 4 supports instead. On the bright side, I'm feeling slightly better today, sickness-wise, but I'm still feeling quite sick, so I can't go as hard as I might want to. But I'll do my best. We're getting enough all chat that it's beginning to actually lag the game. Like, you see the amount of stuff in the chat, it's actually beginning to lag. You can see the hero models beginning to lag, which is actually kind of amazing. So I'm going to clear the chat, so that way stuff can return to not lagged. I know just posting plain text is not as laggy as it can be, though. Like, if you post the animated emojis, the emotes in the chats, you could really get the lag fast. Like, I remember for a long time, Brax would in his own team chat, he would just do these four. I'm not sure what emote it was, but it was some emote where it was, I think, Meeple like slamming a table or something rapidly. He would post four of those in his team chat only repeatedly, and then it would cause the game to dramatically lag. And then those were fun times when I was adminning games with Brax. But what can you do in that sense? Heroes have been selected. We have seen a 15 pick Viper. We are seeing some all chat between the Radiant's team members. All chat fighting between Aurora and Ned. We're seeing some requests for Smiley to shut the fuck up. This is some really interesting stuff. If I'm Smiley muted right now or something, I think I'm missing out on something in the. I don't think I have Smiley muted. I'm pretty sure I unmuted Smiley a long time ago, so I'm pretty sure he's not muted on my end, but I digress. We have an Ancient Apparition pick for the Radiant team for Big Dave Aurora in the safe lane as a 5 support, most likely. Certainly one of the heroes that he enjoys playing. Works well with that 4 support clockwork if that's where the clock ends up going. With the way this draft is turning out, I think it's definitely more than likely to be a clock 4 Visage 3. The lane makes a lot of sense that way. I have some hiccups right now, but I'm sure I'll get rid of the hiccups soon.
Dire team pick.
Wait a minute, that is a wrinkle I did not expect. That is a Rubik pick. So fundamentally, we have 2 different heroes that can flex between the 4 and the 2 role this game. It could be Clock mid Rubik 4, could be Rubik mid Clock 4, could be neither of them potentially. Let's say like a Clock 3 Rubik 4 Visage mid. But this is definitely an interesting situation where you don't have 24 pick, you have 23 pick instead if you're Funny Zone. But you still go for this very tantalizing flex option. That way you can 23 pick your carry for Smiley, and then once SenseiRaven1 have fully locked in their draft, then you can decide where your flex heroes are going. This is a really interesting situation, though, strategically. I think it's probably going to end up being a Rubik 2, Clock 4, but the other way around would not be too shocking either. We haven't seen a bit of Clock being experimented with in the core roles, but we are seeing a Terrorblade response pick. This is a definitely good Terrorblade game. There's a hero who doesn't care too much about anything on the Radiant side right now. You can still sunder through Ice Blast. Last time I checked, so that's not really an issue. Clock can attempt to get you in the cogs alone, but obviously the illusions, great at blocking hooks, great at tanking battery assault if you have them on the inside of cogs. This could potentially be a very, very good Terrorblade game as well, in the sense that he's going to be splitting this map. And by splitting the map, pressuring with these illusions, you're going to get a lot of information. Because in pushing in the lanes, heroes either will have to respond or they won't, which gives you information. You put, say, illusions in the lanes, you put even in the jungle, you simply get information by doing that. And in this kind of game where you have this clockwork who's going to really want to go around and gank, if this hero like Visage who is fundamentally dependent upon getting momentum and maneuvering properly across the map. This is a fantastic Terrorblade game.
10 seconds remaining.
I am a big fan of this pick by SR1.
5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
It is the last phase of bans, though. Seems like, yeah, Radiant definitely expect Dire to pick a mid here. Dire, I'm actually not quite sure what they think. They're banning out Pango and Ember, so maybe they think it's Visage 1 and Clock 3? Or Clock 1 and Visage 3? Because these are primarily middle lane based heroes being banned out here. Maybe they're expecting this last pick mid, even though Radiant have 3 different heroes that can go mid in the Visage, in the Clock, and in the Rubik, who all, to varying degrees, can play the middle lane. So perhaps maybe they know something about Funny Zone that I don't know. This is a very interesting situation in that sense. We are at a bit under a minute of reserve time for Funny Zone for the penultimate pick of the draft, and then after that it will be the last pick, that 24 pick for SR1, which will probably end up being a middle lane selection, but once again, they too will flex with heroes. Tidy can go mid, GP can go mid, Viper can go mid. Even though I don't think any of those 3 heroes will go mid, all 3 can go mid. So you have a lot of options if you're SenseiRaven1 in this draft. I'm a big fan of Dire Side draft so far. I think Radiant will need a big home run pick to turn it around.
Dire team pick.
So we get Zeus, which actually does not solve our conundrum. We still don't know where these heroes are going, because Zeus is the likely mid for Radiant, but once again, we've seen a lot of Zeus being played as a 4 support recently as well, so we have all these heroes who are like these semi-cores. So it's interesting to see that Radiant have kind of like this sort of this like new style avant-garde approach to the Dota economy, in that we've seen some teams start to flirt with the idea of not having these hard carries, not having these like super stratified farm situations. They have 5 heroes who are all to some degree going to want to farm somewhat. Versus Dire really don't have that. They have a much more traditional lineup. They have this Terrorblade carry, who is a classic 4p1 carry. They're going to put the tiny middle, who once again, over Dota's history, has played mid a lot over the years. It's interesting to see exactly how these lineups are going to match up. I think this Dire team is better. They have the Color Spirit, which is the legendary Color Spirits. I think potentially this game could go very badly. I think Radiant will need to outplay the Dire to win this game, which I don't think is too far-fetched of an idea, but when you run Visage carry, Zeus mid, Clockwork 3, you are relying upon doing well in the lanes. You are relying upon your early game fights going well, because it's easier to be the Dire and sit back and play their Dota than it is for Radiance to have to really force the issue at some point. They cannot sit back and wait for the late game. They have to do something to advance the game states. So when you look at it in that sense, I am definitely a fan of this Dire Side draft. I prefer their draft greatly, and because of that, I think they're going to win game number 1. Okay, let's see here. Yeah.
Prepare for battle.
We're seeing a lot of branches right now. A lot of branches from both teams. Headdress from Big Dave. We are getting a couple GLs in the chat. I don't think I'm muted, do I? I don't smell muted. We're good. I guess surprisingly quiet from Smiley pre-horn. A lot of other all chatters all chatting, but not Smiley. We are seeing SR1 already moving to occupy this Radiant side jungle. They want this rune. They've gotten a ward up right over here. They've gotten a ward up right over here. they're looking to control this Radiant jungle quite heavily early on.
30
Get these
seconds
bounty
remaining.
runes, get these couriers potentially.
Keep it PMA, keep it BSJ.
This is definitely the sort of ward that I know Jay Curto likes. Like, I remember when I scouted Jay Curto when I was playing his team last season, I noticed that Jay Curto basically warded this exact spot every game. It's interesting seeing the other team go for like this Jay Curto ward. I know it's weird to call it the Jay Curto ward, but I think this very, I'm not gonna call it shallow, but medium into the jungle ward, which you have a lot of pressure on the 5 supports. Like, usually you play 5, you want to play in this sort of area, and with this ward, it's going to be very hard to enjoy doing so, unless you get the D ward. And well, Big Dave has Sentry Ward in hands. If he wants to D ward, I'm sure he'll see Small Camp is not blocked unless it's body blocked. So a lot of options right there. Middle lane is Zeus versus Tiny. Tiny has more damage with that tree grab, but without it, that should be in a pretty fantastic spot. I mean, he has Arc Lightning level 1, but just given how much stealth damage Zeus puts out, and look at this, this man has 64 damage. He should be absolutely fine in this lane. For the top lane is man fight between the Dire and the Radiant, of course. Baboon and T are very low fairy fire, top by Rubik, but first blood will go to Jax on the Clockwork via the battery assault. They could not finish Jay Curto on the Rubik, so it's already 1 kill early. For the side of Funny Zone. But I like that they're manning up early. They don't want to Terrorblade get levels. Because if Terrorblade begins to accelerate his game, get farm, get to the jungle early, get a lot of creeps going, that's not going to be good for you. But if you're killing this TB constantly, that's probably your best bet to win the game, is you ultimately keep this win condition on the Dire side as poor and as sad as possible. That's really your ticket to victory there, because sure, you can do a lot in terms of this tiny mid timing-wise, by the early blink, gank heroes, but when all's said and done, you're going to rely on this Terrorblade to have some bit of tangible late-game impact if you want to win the game, and Radiance do not want to let the game get there. They want to have this Terrorblade be as sad as possible. Do not let him hit the sort of timings you get, like a Manta, Scotty, and a BKB. And game was close to this. Bottom lane, it's a bit of an interesting lane, actually. We're seeing a lot of trading with the Soul Assumption and Viper in the bot lane, but top lane, it is Jax going down to Brightside, who hunted him in the trees, was wrapping around constantly in and out. Eventually found the very low HP Clockwork in the trees for the kill, so it's now 2 kills overall, both of them in that top lane, 1 for 1 in terms of kill score. So far, this bottom lane has been relatively even in terms of CS, but looking over at Regen, I think Radiant have been winning this trade. They have the headdress on Aurora, there's a Bracer instead on Kuz, so there is no headdress aura for this Dire side. Smiley is slightly ahead in CS compared to Garda, but it's nothing too significant either way. Mid lane again, Ned is slightly ahead in CS as well. 16-2 versus Tiny's 13-1. It is top lane, though, where the fun is probably going to happen again in the near future. Brightside's wrapping around already, going for some hitting of a Clockwork. But Clockwork turns with Battery Assault. The creeps help tank. Meta is popped by T. They head to Baboon, but Baboon has brown boots. He's slowed by that reflection, but I don't think he dies here. Only a few more right clicks, and they will not find said right clicks. So that is meta expended by T twice already, and no kills for him, so that is not a happy day to be Terrorblade. At least in terms of using meta. Looking over at CS, though, would actually tell you a very different story. He's actually 14-7, so despite a lot of good aggressive play from Jax in that sort of like first wave area, T has recovered quite nicely in terms of the CS, and you saw earlier with Jax dying. Wasn't really able to take as many lasts as you wanted. Rubik has picked up the pace a little bit, but in general, TB with that 16-8 CS having a great time there. Over to mid lane, we see a gank by Ka, looking for Ned. Ned got the 4-minute water room, but it's actually bottom lane, where Radiant recognize that Ka is gone. They go on Garda. Garda attempts to trade there, to bring down Smiley with him, but he cannot win that trade, so Viper is dead. It's now 2 kills for Funny Zone. Back to mid lane again. One more gank from Ka is in order. Radiant, I think, are aware of this, but Fatal still goes with the Avalanche and Talk. The roll is off the mark from Ka. A rare Earth Spirit miss from Ka. Now he's actually being run down by Ned. Ned cannot cancel that TP, but he is not having a good time currently on that Earth Spirit. Top lane again, battery assault from Jax. Terrible Illusion is dead, and T is on the inside of the cogs, trying to man fight. He's got six charges. He will pop them, but Jax continues to run forward, getting a kill on Terrorblade again. Right side will not get a counter kill quite yet. He must run away to his tower, away from Baboon, and a very low HP Jax. Just a question for... I missed a kill bottom lane. I missed 2 kills bottom lane, technically. My bad on that one. Cub returned to the lane. Both cores traded their lives. But Garda got the XP for the kill on Smiley, and Cub got the second kill on Aurora as well. So that is good trade there for Garda and Ka in this bottom lane.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
We are seeing 6 now on both Tiny and Zeus. No Gross killed yet for Fatal, unsurprisingly, but Ned has Thunder God's Wrath available. Problem is he's being run at by Brightside right now. Siphon will slow the Zeus. Zeus will walk away from the danger for the time being, and it seems like Radiant were not in position to go on T. There's a very large Dire wave going into the tower right now. Bottom lane, Dire have the ward. They see everything in this lane. Roll in for Smiley. Kick on Visage. Visage is silenced. He's broken. He's being run at, but he will turn with Soul Assumption. Ka is low. Smiley is low. Will kill Ka, but the urn will kill Smiley. Yes, it will. So it is a 1-for-1. Ned gets the kill on Ka. And bottom lane, Garda actually almost dies to the Aurora damage. She will saddle up after that one. So big trades in this bottom lane. Another 1-for-1 trade, but now Smiley has died twice in this lane, and he is now significantly more sad. Back to top lane again. Jax has Battery Assault and Cogs running down T. That is T's 3rd death of the game. And despite having decent last hits, those 3 deaths are ruining his net worth, understandably. And he is 5th in net worth right now, despite being 3rd in last hits. Hook shot in by Jax. He just hit 6, and Brightside will attempt to turn with the Siphons. But he cannot heal enough, I don't think. Or maybe he can, actually. He's still tanking Battery Assault with the help of creeps. But the Rocket Flare and right clicks from Jax will do the job. DP dead. And one more kill, again, for Jax and Baboon in this top lane. They are owning this lane right now. They're at 4 kills in this lane to 1 death. That is a very favorable lane there. Bottom lane is a gank from both twins, Fatal and Ka, via the help of Guard. They toss in Viper for Smiley. Smiley will lose his life, but can Radiant find the trade? Ned and Aurora are fighting. Garda is tanking tower. Baboon rotates in. It's another 3v3 fight. Lift, Cold Feet on Garda. Garda will drop. It is once again a 1-for-1 trade in the bottom lane. Both cores, so the Visage and the Viper, go down, and Ka is just... he's just here now, I guess. He's kind of stuck. He, I guess, can roll this direction or all the way around here, but he's stoned. He's having a good time. We are seeing T wholly in the jungle. He wants nothing to do with this top lane anymore. Problem is, Jax has left the top lane. He wants a lot to do with T. T's Illusion has scouted out Jax. But Jax is still in the hunt. As is Baboon, for that matter. They are still looking to ruin this Terrorblade's game. Looking at Terrorblade. He is at 3k net worth a minute 9. He is skilled Sunder at level 6, expecting perhaps Radiance to gank him, and him needing that Sunder for a gank. Speaking of ganks, it is Aurora and Baboon, 2-man smoke into the Dire side jungle. 3 Radiant heroes are there. Problem is, Dire are not there. They are middle And they are bottom. Speaking of bottom, Dire could be setting up for a tower siege. He, I believe, has meta available right now. Correction, it's on cooldown. But with no radiant defenders being nearby, this should be a relatively free tower siege. RIP T1 tower. Radiant, for their part, have not taken this top T1 quite yet, but with the mid 10 siege unit spawning, it should be in short order.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Speaking of carries, Smiley, also having died 3 times just like T, just hit his 6th mid lane, and again, Dire have smoked towards his location. DD Rune has been scouted, roll in by Ka, it's on point, the kick is away though. Rune actually gets denied by Smiley. Now Radiant rotated and hookshot in onto Cogs. Not quite used yet, Ice Blast actually off the mark, and now Jax will lose his life. He hookshotted in, expecting some help, but alas, the help not present. And now Dire, Exo in hand, will work on this middle T1 tower. It's already 2/3 HP. Baboon will rotate in. Radiant left the defenders. Roll hits on Smiley into the kick, into the avalanche. Smiley will pop the magic wand and the drum just to begin to maneuver in the fight. He turns to Earth Spirit, who will die. Thunder God's Wrath, not probably needed, but used nonetheless for the kill secure. And now it is Dire on the run. Avalanche used in case of a TP. There was nobody TPing there anymore. So as a result, Dire will retreat, having lost their Earth Spirits. Radiance defend their middle T1 tower. It is still about 1/4 HP. Jax. The middle lane's probably where stuff's happening first. Jax does have hookshot, but does not have any vision currently on Terrorblade's whereabouts. Middle lane Smiley was sieging the middle T1 tower, but was not quite able to get it. It is still very, very healthy. The top T1, though, is no longer healthy. The siege unit finished the job during all the chaos in the last few minutes. And now both teams are taking 1 tower apiece. Both teams are relatively grouped towards the middle lane currently. They are chilling. They're having a good time. I'm not looking to force too much. We're seeing a bit of farming from cores. Both offlaners are on a side lane right now, farming out some creeps. Seeing Smiley pushing the top wave. T playing the tri-camp. Everyone's farming, having a good time right now. The Dire, they have broken the good times. Tiny has a blink. The smoke on 3, Tiny, Earth Spirit, and Death Prophet. They're headed bottom lane. They know Jax is down there, and Jax will miss the roll, but eventually he will die to the Avalanche toss combo from Fatalness. He'll pop the stick, but there is no way out. However, there is an exchange. As all of that happened in the Radiant Jungle, set up by an Observer Ward, Aurora and Baboon moved towards Garda and brought down the Viper, so both offlaners would go down. Whoa. That was some loud noise outside. I apologize if anyone heard that. Might be a, some kind of, like, thunderstorm of some kind. It's not a large thunderstorm. Probably should know this, but I don't. Actually, I'm gonna check, so apparently we have some rain. Apparently the thunder is not here, so I'm not quite sure what that was. What can you do? We are back to our farming time. Baboon's level 8 even, he's just chilling. Mid lane Exo is popped by Brightside, but he's being run down by Smiley and Baboon and Ned for that matter. Aggressive play by Brightside does not pay off, and now Ka is in a little bit of danger, but he will kick and roll his way out of the Thunderdome, that being Jax's Cogs. So it's only one kill for the Radiant, but now Radiant are in a good position to potentially go for this mid 2-1 tower. This tower, not quite dead yet, but with Jax threatening with this hookshot, Dire need to be careful. Fatal is wrapping around. He has Haste Rune and Blink Dagger, but Jax is not an easy target. He has 1.7k HP and a good blink by Fatal. Read Jax like a book. Better than a book, even. However, the mid T1 tower is still under duress. Cug gets tossed in by his brother. He will magnetize on 3. The roll will get cancelled, but Magnetize is doing a lot of damage. Radiant turn their attention to Tiny, who actually dies as well. So now, Dire have lost 2. Garda is man fighting. He'll bring down Aurora via the passive, but he still will die to Jax. Triple kill for Jax, actually, on the clockwork. So a bit of a disastrous fight for the side of SenseiRaven1. They took that fight numerically disadvantaged into this Visage, and they just got beaten.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
We're seeing TP in from Aurora, aiding Baboon. They want to bring down T. T has a Sunder. He uses it. He now will walk away. Baboon is low on mana. Back to middle lane. The Siege Unit and Visage Familiars. Funny Zone finish killing the middle T1 tower. That is a job well done right there. It's actually a bit of a shock, given how much earlier Dire damaged the Radiant side mid T1 than Radiant damaged the Dire side mid T1. That Radiant are the ones that actually get the tower first. I'm sure this tower is bothering them right now because they've committed multiple exos. They've committed a lot of heroes to try to kill this tower, and this have not been able to kill it quite yet. We are once again seeing a gank in the area, spotted by Radiant Obsword. Fatal blinks in, tosses the Visage into Earth Spirit and DP. Exo is popped. Visage is low, but not quite dead yet. Now dies to cause damage. Hookshot in by Jax. Finds the Tiny. Tiny will fall. And now Radiant want more, even more vengeance. They run at Brightside. The bringer of the Exo will attempt to fight the Spirit Typhons. Actually, will bring down Ned. It will cost him his life. That is a fantastic maneuver at the end of the fight to bring down Ned. So it ends up being a 2-for-2 trade. Dire at long last get the middle T1 tower. But overall there, I think if you're Dire, you have to be happy with that one. You trade 2 for 2, you get 2 cores, or 1 core and 1 support, you kill a tower. And during all of that, Garda, farming, T, into the Dire jungle. Radiant will gank Garda, and Garda is now very dead. Combination there of nearly the entire team brings down the Viper. And if you are Funny Zone, this is what you have to do. This is kind of Dota you have to play if you want to win this game. It is up-tempo, it is aggressive, it is ganky. You must constantly be attempting and succeeding on these kills. And so far, they've done a pretty good job of it. They've gotten nearly 1 kill per minute. They have 17 kills to this 18-minute game, and they have begun to exert some control into this Dire side jungle. Wards are being placed, sentries are being placed, and even this top T2 tower could potentially be in danger soon.
Dire's top tower is under
Smiley
attack.
has already begun to hit the tower. Apparently there is a lag. That is what I am being told. There is a lag. I'm sure it's true. We are at this point mostly waiting for the pause to end. We got a sec from Aurora, so we're waiting on a Funny Zone for the G. That's great, actually. But we are back to the action. We again are seeing this dire side top tier 2 under attack. It is about half HP right now, and Smiley wants to do even more damage to it. Dire aren't even defending it right now. They're not TPing in. They have this Viper not far from the area, but the remainder of the team is playing middle and is playing bottom. Fatal cuts the wave middle, and it's now time for Dire to run. Radiant looking to defend their own jungle. They've killed the top tier 2. It has died. Now we're seeing Jax. Thought he actually might go deeper into this Radiant side jungle, but I think he knows. Dire have been there. They likely have vision, and they do have vision. And Radiant have very little idea about anything about this sort of area of the map right now. So instead, they will return to playing under their vision in this this Dire side jungle. Right side has dropped some sentries, but still. Is that... Oh, that ward's actually not in sentry range. That is important. That's a very good ward for the Dire. I don't think they're going to expect that either, given they have the sentry. They've been here recently. This is a very crafty ward from Brightside. Hook shot in, there on 2, it's DP and Viper. I spot 6 on 1, but in comes Fatal, blinking in upon Baboon. The trade is for Garda, Aurora, dead. Jax is silenced and on the run, and he has seemingly no way out. He's being run down by DP and Tiny. Crit Swarm actually misses. Jax will actually somehow walk away. Fatal blinks in. Avalanche finishes Jax. The trade is for Ka. But ends up being a 3-for-2 exchange. Fatal getting all 3 kills for the side of SenseiRaven1, and as a result, they win the trade. Yeah, they come up ahead there by 900 gold. And again, notice, he is in none of these fights. He is farming to his heart's content right now. I was highlighting T's struggles in the laning phase. At this point, his game is entirely recovered. He is #1 net worth by a fairly safe margin. More than 1k ahead of Smiley. 1.5k ahead. Actually, almost 2k ahead now of Ned. Terrorblade is at his Yasha. As a BKB, he is farmed. He's even rebuying that Dragonlance. He disassembled Dragonlance for BKB, and now he's rebuying it again for the stats. And I wouldn't be too shocked if afterwards he goes into, like, Manta plus Scotty. That's really what you want a lot. Well, most of the time in Terrorblade is that Manta Scotty BKB. He will, instead of going for the Manta, go for the Scotty first. He wants the extra slow there against this Visage, of course. Even that's a very fantastic stat-based item into this burst of Zeus, of Rubik, of Clockwork. Speaking of Rubik, he gets ganked by the Dire, tossed in the air, roll, hits on Aurora, hookshot in by Jax, looking to save this fight. Ice Blast hits only on 1, but it is one good Fatal's target. Fatebolt brings down Tiny, but T has arrived. Netta popped, Baboon dead, roll in on Clockwork. Clockwork is on the run, but T just does too much damage. He is ready to fight. And he brings down the clock, so it is a 2-for-1. Clock and Rubik for Tiny, and well, perhaps it will be time to back off and farm once again. Return to the farming rotation if you're T. Radiant C Garda, though, farming boldly in the Radiant small camp. And it might cost him his life, and it will cost him his life. Thunder God's Wrath was committed to finish the kill, and Radiant are actually pinging out Roshan. They have no Medallion, no Solar Crest, but they do have a Vlad's Boots of Bearing Visage. And he is ready to go at this point. Roshan is about 2/3 HP right now, and Dire are nowhere near the Roshan pits. I believe it will be a free Roshan. And it will. Seeing Ka now, now ping out Roshan, but it's just too late. Aegis is in the hands of the Visage. However, Dire still maintain the net worth lead, and they also still maintain late game supremacy, so It's more, can you weather these storms? Because Bonnies don't have to know the time is now. It's time to begin applying some pressure. Wraith Pact is online, fully finished for Smiley. This might be the strongest he is relative to the Dire all game at this point. Perhaps it is time to run it down, take the mid T2, take the bot T1, take the bot T2, and apply some pressure in this Dire Tri-Camp area. Force Dire to scramble and farm elsewhere. Make perhaps Terra be the one here who's farming, but that all begins with taking them middle T2. Dire have lifted. They will delay the inevitable via ensuring at least one Radiant Wave is dead. And in that time, they're beginning to set up bottom lane, perhaps for a trade of tier 2 towers. If you are Dire, that trade is fantastic. This tower is basically very difficult to defend given how strong Smiley is right now. So if you're getting one in exchange, that's fantastic. But instead, they actually want to fight. They've smoked up S4. They're going to join Garda middle lane. This is a very bold play. High risk, high reward. Their mid T2 is already dead, but if they can get some key counter kills... Fatal Smoke has popped on Jax. Hookshot is off the mark. Now Fatal will BKB. Blinking in, looking for the Zeus. Good focusing by the Dire to get rid of Zeus. Ready for could use many of his spells. And now Radiant will exchange the Zeus for Garda Viper. But T is doing a ton of damage. He brings down Baboon as Ka brings down Aurora. And now T heads over to Smiley. The Avalanche. The toss. That will be... Never mind, Smiley's still half HP. T is hitting, but Jax has dropped the cards. Fatal chases for Smiley. Again, the blink in. Avalanche toss up in 2. Avalanche. The toss. Tossing him towards T as Jax dives to Ka, and now the body box on Smiley will ensure the Aegis is dead, and Smiley has absolutely no backup. He is alone in a 1v4, and there is no way out. That's a full 5-man wipe in favor of SenseiRaven1, and talk about a huge turnaround. Radiant, for the first time in a long time, had momentum in their favor. They had the Aegis. They were really posturing aggressively. They got the mid T2 tower, but they will lose it. The Aegis, their entire team, and their middle T2 tower. What a disastrous trade there. Over a 2k gold swing even. That's massive. Despite the fight losses, I'm sure Funny Zone are not going to wave the flag, the white flag. Instead, they're going to hookshot in for Brightside with the Jax. Brightside will force to the low ground towards his Terrorblade. Radiant now see Terrorblade, but their means of chasing further is relatively low. Hookshot's on cooldown. Outside of that, they don't have really that many great means of chasing, and that's part of the problem with this situation right now for Radiant is they don't really have a secondary initiator other than just running in after your clockwork. And sure, that can work, just running in after your clockwork or just running in towards an objective. But when Dire has Force Staff on their Viper, they have Force Staff on their Death Prophets, it's fairly easy for them to get away from these clock initiations. It's going to be hard for Jax to really... Because he used to really not only outplay the Dire team, but also outplay the limitations on his hero this game. Just given the state of the game, with SR1 being up the way they are now. He did a good job in the laning phase, trying to ruin T's game, but eventually T had the space. I mean, SR1 fought these 4v5 fights relatively well, and every single fight they drew even meant that T was farming, so... Across the map in a macro sense, a huge net win there for SR1. And looking at Terrorblade, he has Dragonlance, BKB, Scotty, Yasha. He's building the Manta. That Manta point will probably be the... I wouldn't call it the point of no return, but at that point, there is zero doubt that he will be the strongest hero on the map from that point forward for the rest of the game. And he's already probably... He's probably already the most scary hero right now on the map.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Over to bottom. Funny Zone have returned to taking outer towers. They have killed the bottom side T1. So there is only this T2 remaining in terms of SenseiRaven1 outer towers. However, it might be a trade. Dire have pushed in this top lane. They can go on the T2 if they want. Neither team's really committing though. Smiley's backed off bot. Looking at Radiant Vision, they see very little. Looking at Dire Vision, they see an Ancient Apparition, but they don't see much currently. They've seen heroes pass on this ward, but they don't know their current location. So as a result, both teams are playing relatively positionally. Scared potentially of either team ganking. It turns out neither team is ganking, but that is how these things go sometimes. Now it is smoke gank time. 3-man smoke gank. Earth Spirits, Tiny, and Death Prophets headed through the Radiant side jungle. They're going to run into Jax on this clockwork. They see him under their ward. And for Jax, your life appears to be over. Avalanche, toss. Roll is off the mark by Ka. Another uncharacteristic roll miss by Ka. And now the hookshot from Jax gets him to the high ground away. But the roll cancels the TP. This time Ka on point. Jax will fall. Big gank there. With the Dire bringing down that core clockwork. But during all that, Smiley did take that bottom side T2 tower. So SR1 are all out of outer towers at this point.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's turret
This is interesting from Baboon. He's buying an A on this, which makes sense. I guess he's recognizing, hey, I'm being blinked upon by these heroes like Tiny. I'm tired of dying, tired of being bursted down. Not sure how effective it will be, but I like the idea. We are seeing, speaking of Baboon, he gets caught in this top lane. He's trying to hide in the trees, but Dire had some idea he was in the area, and he found him and ran him down quite easily there.
Radiant's
I think if you're Baboon, you're not that upset dying there. I mean, sure, you die, but they had to use 3 heroes to kill you, and you got some farm pushing in this top lane. You applied pressure, you forced heroes back to this area, so in that sense, problem solved. We are seeing T, though, again, posting up in this Radiant jungle. He'll pop the meta, running at net. He's slowed by Scotty. Reflection has ended, but again, it's a Yules and a Spirit Siphon looking to ensure that Ned cannot escape, and he will not escape. He will end up dying to the DP Exo. As that happens, we're seeing Jax and Smiley fighting with Garda. Garda with Crimson Guard will attempt to get away, but he is taking so much damage. Hookshot in by Jax will ensure that Garda will fall. However, as all of that happened, back to the middle lane, Dire ran down Aurora's Ancient Apparition. Now they have a free shot at this middle lane high ground if they want to go for it. T still has a meta. The Exo has ended right now, but T is still very ready to fight. Aurora has bought back, though, so in that sense, now Dire will back off. They've forced out a buyback on Ancient Apparition. They've gotten a favorable trade of kills, and they can say, you know what? This is good for us. We don't have to force the issue. We can back off, play the map, play Radiant Tricamp, perhaps go for this Roshan, and that appears to be what SR1 are doing. Already have T in the pit. Jax has scouted it out with that rocket flare. Radiant will smoke only as 2. But the one hero who needs to be smoked up is smoked up. It is the Clockwork. And Dire, actually knowing that this clock play in the Roshan pit could be very deadly, back away. So you know what? We don't want this Roshan at the cost of our lives. We will back off to our jungle. We will farm. We will play it slow. We will wait perhaps for the Exo cooldown, for the meta cooldown to once again be up. Both are up in a bit under a minute. And that's where we're at now. Again, we're just farming. We are farming it up. However, Fatal on the Tiny will break the stalemate. He will break the Aeon Disc of Rubik. Ice Blast is in, hitting only on one, and Radiant are beginning the collapse. Rubik dead. Ancient Apparition rolled on, brought down. 2 more kills. That is actually a dieback on Ancient Apparition, meaning this is going to be a fairly routine Roshan for the side of SenseiRaven1, barring a miracle from Jax. There will be no stopping. Actually, we're seeing a fight again in top lane. Hookshot in by Jax on Fatal, looking to save his Zeus. They will get the tiny kill, but Dire most certainly want vengeance. Magnetize in. Zeus out. But Brightside is low. He'll use himself, but when he dies, he will lose a gem. But there is a gem on the floor. Radiant, I'm sure, see it. Right? They do. However, during all that, Roshan was grabbed by T on the Terrorblade. That is a shard and Anita's grabbed. Not sure where the shard went. It went to Garda on Viper, I believe. Yeah, it went to Garda on the Viper. So shard to Viper, one of the better shards in the game. Not too shocking, and Aegis to Terrorblade. Good decisions there. I guess the question of the day is whether or not Dire are going to use this Aegis to pressure high ground or not. Because, I mean, they are up by 10k, they do have a Terrorblade, they do have a DP, they do have a Tiny, they have Viper with Shard. They certainly can go high ground if they want to. But they also know they have the late game. And they know that potentially throwing away a fight at the Radiant side high ground could be a sort of like 4 or 5k net worth swing that Funny Zone need to make back in the game, so... maybe we will see them just go for this top T2 tower and control this Radiant side track camp once again to play positional Dota, pushing in, top wave, pushing in, mid wave, playing it slow. I'm hoping though that Dire go for a smoke gank and create action, because if they smoke gank and fight, there are 2 outcomes. And both outcomes are very fine with me. Either Dire win the fight, and they win the game, which I'm fine with, or Dire lose the fight, which creates an even game, which I'm also fine with. So we are seeing Smoke Up S5. I'm excited for that. Fatal and Brightside lead the way. Ka is rolling through. They're headed through the Radiant side jungle towards Baboon. Thunder God's Wrath will spot the smoke, but Fatal is on point, finding Baboon, once again popping the Aeon Disc in the trees. He will blink away. The TP will be successful. So technically it is an Aeon Disc forced out, that 125 cooldown Aeon Disc of Baboon, but I think if you're Radiant, you're incredibly fine with that. You waste a minute of that Aegis timer, all for a gank that, if it succeeded, would have killed Rubik, and even then it did not succeed, so... Good play there from Baboon and company.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
We are back again to Dire grouping in the Radiant side jungle.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom
He has killed the bottom T2 tower, so if they want to go high ground bottom lane, it is certainly possible. And that will be the play. Meta is available, as is Manta, as is the Aegis. Viper is hitting with the Shard. Exo has been activated. Glyph is there, but the Glyph is just too late. Your tower is dead. There will be no split shot. Fatalist will tree volley to zone away Ned on that Zeus, but Dire have their eyes on the prize, that bottom set of barracks. Fatal blinks in, avalanche toss on Smiley. It will cost him his life, perhaps. He will be attempting to run away. He'll tree volley and run away again, but now hookshot in by Jax on the Tiny, and Smiley again is standing his ground. He's manning up somehow. Fatal has fallen. Smiley actually gets away. Dire loses the Aegis as well on T. Now T in the cogs. Has BKB, has Hurricane Pike. He'll Hurricane Pike himself away. And they will now retreat. It was a relatively costly siege. They lose the Aegis. They lose their Tiny. And Radiant are still hunting. It's a lift on Garda. His corrosive skin is broken. The TP is away, but it's cancelled by Ned's lightning bolt. Again, Garda will get run down. That is 2 cores lost on the side of SR1. Technically, all 3 cores died at one point in that fight, but with Terrorblade having Aegis, he was, of course, perfectly fine. But if you are Funny Zone, that is certainly a sign of life from them. A well-executed fight. We saw there, just going on Smiley with that Aghanim Shard is proving to be difficult. Because sure, they tossed him into the other 4 heroes, but he popped the stone form on himself, and then he's actually just fine. And that's the problem. You have this hero who's just so tanky. I wouldn't be too shocked if in the near future we just see Dire ignore interact with the Radiant heroes. We saw T there, and Brightside, and Garda very perfectly content to hit buildings. They killed Mithrax in this bottom lane. I wouldn't be too shocked. That's the sort of play we see with the next Aegis. We see heroes being ignored and buildings being focused. Top lane, we're seeing Fatal gank Ned. Ned will heavenly jump away. Actually, will blink away. Ka will be off on the roll. So again, another great escape by Funny Zone. Again, they get ganked in these sides, and again they survive. Fatal has blinked in, but it's towards Jax and Smiley. Hookshot was blocked by the familiars of Smiley. Perhaps there will be no kill. Everyone will get away. And be fine. Brightside was still hunting. Had a Force Staff into Yule's play if he wanted it, but instead he'll walk towards Smiley. Lightning Bolt on Brightside, he'll force himself away, roll through, missing on everyone, splitting the wickets. Cabo Beaky kicking in Smiley towards Brightside, but again, Smiley, he's trying to survive, he's just so low, he'll rate back, but this time he cannot survive a man fight. Aurora and Smiley are both dead. T, with Metaform, destroys Jax. Radiant only have 2, it's Baboon and it's Ned. Baboon will have his TP cancelled by the Yules. There will be no way out, and Ned, the lone survivor, tried to pop whatever spells he could. He was run down by Fatal as well. 4-5 now in favor of the side of SenseiRaven1. Well, at this point the game is looking pretty over to me. Radiant have one more buyback on the Ancient Apparition, but before the clock Visage and Rubik respawn in about 45 seconds, most of his base is going to die. Ned has been blinked on by Fatal. He'll tree volley, but instead he will have to BKB and TP away. I like what T's doing though. T has objectives on the mines. He has killed the top T3. He will kill the top barracks. Top Mithrax will now fall, which means Dire have barracks in 2 different lanes now. They've killed the bottom range racks and the top range racks as well. They head to middle. The lone set of barracks in between them and Megas, T3 is dead. Range racks are under duress. They will fall, and again, the melees are not long for life either. Garda is hitting. The illusions are as well. Sure, Brightside might die, but at that point, you know what? That is a worthwhile sacrifice. Garda TP's away. T has a ninja geared away as well, so it will mean, other than the Death Prophet, a clean escape for the side of SenseiRaven1. So if you are Funny Zone, you have to know exactly what situation you're in right now. There is only one play you can make, and that play is a desperation play. They are running it down the middle lane right now with everybody they can. Zeus is pushing in the bottom lane to an extent. He has Nimbus and Other Guy's Wrath. The Other Guy's Wrath will scout out the Dire. Smiley hits the mid T3. It will fall. Eventually. Eventually. Okay, now it's dead. But at this point, BP is alive at 25. This is a bold move if you continue to go. Avalanche toss off is off the mark. You see Call rolling in, but he gets killed immediately. Now both dire supports buyback. Brightside and Ka are in the action. T with meta hits Big Dave. Big Dave will perish. And now Dire head for more. Everyone will BKB. Jax is low. Hookshot again in. Stunning Tiny, but Tiny has spirals to escape the cons. Baboon will fall. Jax will fall. Roll is off the mark, but as all of that happens, Smiley dies. Ned, the last survivor, has fallen, and unsurprisingly, Funny Zone have called the GG. Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, I liked SenseiRaven1 this game from the draft. I just thought their concept was easier to execute upon. I liked what they were doing, and it worked out. I mean, they had a rough start to their lanes, but T farmed it up. And eventually, once T farmed it up, it was very hard for Funny Zone to play Dota 2. And look at this line. Look at this Terrorblade line. It just, from minute 20 onwards, it's really just dwarfing the other heroes of the game. I mean, this is the power of the Terrorblade in these sorts of games. And sure, you can beat it, but it requires you to make big plays. Really put some pressure on early in that sense. We do have a Dota update, however. I'll be back quite soon. And we are now back once again in Dota 2. The lobby is not up quite yet, but it will be up quite soon, I'm sure. And then we can once again cast some more Dota 2. I believe it was Aurora who was hosting the lobby last game. And he is not on Dota yet, so that might delay the Game 2 lobby being hosted. But yeah, that does mean that both teams move to an identical record. SenseiRaven1 and Funny Zone are both now 4-7 record-wise. Is that correct? No, I think they're both 4-9 actually. Is that correct? Yeah, they're both 4-9 after that one. It's definitely not a great spot for either to be in, but if either want to turn the season around, you have to win this next game. At least if you win next game, you come out 5-9. Playoffs is still potentially possible in your future if you can have a good end to the season, but if you fall all the way to 4-10, that is not a good spot to be in. So it's almost a must-win game for both teams. This is a win that both teams really do need. We are chilling the lobby, still not up. Still not up. But eventually it will be. At this point, though, I'm going to go to the bathroom, grab some water. I'll be back in a few minutes, and I'll see you all soon. I'm back, and it seemed like the Dota 2 is back as well.
Red team ban.
They didn't mark the. They did not mark the win today, which makes me moderately upset, but it's okay. I'm just going to, I guess put this over here. We'll put, FZ01 SR1. Perfect. We did it. We have unlocked rudimentary OBS technology. And again, we have returned to our Dota 2 adventures. Hopefully, we get some good stuff this game.
Seconds remaining.
That'd be nice.
Impossible. Red team ban.
Seems like the bands are relatively similar, though not entirely the same. We see Puck banned out this game. Puck, I believe, was not first phase banned last game. I want to say it was Night Stalker and Marcy that were the other two bands.
10 seconds remaining.
Like Marcy, Night Stalker, IO, Dawnbreaker.
5 seconds.
Which means one of those four, I mean, at this point, one of Night Stalker.
Red team
Okay, so Marcy once again is banned, smart ban, but Night Stalker will be in play if either team wants it. Obviously not as high up priority hero as, say, the Marcy is, but
Radiant
still.
team pick.
It is first pick DP for the side of SenseiRaven1. You know what, I'm taking my glasses off for the draft. I don't need them. I'm sure I'll be fine without them.
10 seconds
Actually,
remaining.
this probably sounds sad, but I'm like maybe
5 seconds.
3.5, 4 feet away from my monitor, and I cannot see much of value. But you know what? I'll pay attention. I can see the colored blobs. I'm seeing Night Stalker and Cuddle. Seeing Chaos Knight. We're on point. We're getting there. It is band phase time, though. Actually, I probably should put the glasses back on because I actually cannot see the band icons.
Seconds remaining.
Though I can see the heroes off like the color palettes, but the bands never gonna happen. So
5 seconds remaining.
glasses back on. Yeah. I'm going to go look up the Dota buff from last game, see if we have any similarities in terms of bands. Maybe we will. You never know. Alright, I have pulled up the Game 1 Dota buff for the series. Invoker was not banned out last game, actually. Though, see, Razor was not banned out. We're seeing some entirely different bans here. We're seeing, things being mixed up a little bit, you know?
10 seconds remaining.
Interesting stuff, but we are seeing again the all chat is back. Dire are claiming that Night Stalker Coddle is anti-synergy, and I guess it technically is, but it's not that bad anymore.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
You know what I miss? I miss Logical right now. I really do. Because usually he'd be saying things, and I can kind of like respond to either the stimuli that he gives me, or the stimuli from my screen with heroes being picked in bands. But I can't do that. Because he's not here. I'm here. Alone.
10
And to be fair, he may have made the intelligent move to opt out tonight.
5 seconds remaining.
What can you do? I guess I could have looked harder for an analyst, but I didn't feel like it. In hindsight, a mistake. I definitely should have.
Radiant team
Not that I can't analyze lads games to a somewhat decent extent, but more. I don't have someone else to say words. That'd be nice. We are past the second ban phase, however. We are headed on in for the pick phase. Hopefully we get some interesting stuff. It is 15 pick for Funny Zone. A lot of very boring heroes have been banned out. So I am hopeful. I am optimistic that we will get something fun.
pick.
That is Winter Wyvern. Good pick into the Chaos Knight. SR1, we're more focused on banning out some of these core heroes that they did not want to ban the Wyvern out. It does mean, though, if the Wyvern Coddle is a support duo, which it very likely could be, that is a very weak support duo. You put Wyvern 5, Coddle 4, didn't really do too much. Which means instead, perhaps they look towards putting the Coddle mid. If they go Coddle mid, Wyvern 5, NS3, then you can probably grab some other 4. I'm sure if you're Brightside right now drafting for SR1, it's got to be on your mind. Like, hey, this Coddle most certainly could be mid.
Dire team pick. Radiant
For now, though, we'll be seeing a Phoenix pick into a Mars pick, so they've got some generally good team fighting heroes. We are beginning to see the draft come together. We're likely looking at CK carry Mars 3
10 seconds remaining.
with a DP5 Phoenix 4.
5 seconds.
There is a number of flex options there. They can put the CK3, they can put the Mars mid, they can put the Phoenix 5, the DP4, or mid. So they have options, but I think it's more likely than not we'll be seeing CK1, Mars 3, Phoenix 4, DP5, with this 23 pick for SR1 being their middle laner for Fatalists. With your Funny Zone, though, I have no idea what you want right now. Because they're building a draft, which they do a lot of different things in it. So I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do strategically yet. Are they going to want to capitalize with this Wyvern hero, get another team fighter? Are they going to capitalize with Night Stalker, have another hero who's an aggressive ganker, who can really stick on heroes in these team fights? You need to just grab some reliable core who can lane into this Mars Phoenix. But a hero like Jug or a hero like Lifestealer lanes well into Mars Phoenix. You have options here. I think grabbing one of those 2 cores I mentioned, the Jug or the LS, could be an idea. I mean, I'm actually a big fan of both of them this patch. We've been seeing a decent upswing in Jug picking, and instead it will once again be the Visage, but this is a relatively hard Visage game. There's a lot of means of breaking that Gravekeeper's Cloak, Icarus Dive, Fire Spirit, Sunray, Spirit Siphon. There's a lot of, Mars with the shard, Mars Spear with the shard. There's a lot of means of easily breaking these Gravekeeper Cloak instances. We saw last game, it was not that effective of a pick for this team. Maybe given it's later in the draft, they're like, you know what, let's go back and do it again. But I'm concerned. I'm not very concerned, but I am at least moderately concerned for this Radiant draft right now. Because I'm not quite sure what they hope to accomplish with it. It seems like we're building a sort of strategy where you just run at the Dire team. with your Visage timing and your Night Stalker timing, and you just kind of run at them, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to work again. I mean, it didn't work that well last game. I think this game is even better heroes. I mean, CK is even better at fighting early than Terrorblade was, so this could backfire immensely. For now, though, before that last pick phase, we are in the ban phase.
5 seconds remaining.
We are seeing middle laners getting banned out by both teams. So the mid pool will be relatively thin when all's said and done. Unless we end up seeing some like Mars mid or some Coddle mid, both of which certainly are possible. I still wouldn't be that opposed to the Coddle mid. But at this point, they have time to wait on it and consider it for later. They do have the last pick of the draft, of course, so they can be patient. We are low on reserve time for both teams.
Radiant team ban.
And Dyer's last ban will be that Ember Spirits. There is still Void Spirit in the pool. Leshrac still unbanned as well, if either team's thinking about one of those two heroes.
5 seconds remaining.
Storm got nerfed to Oblivion, but it is still viable enough. Instead, though, we will see the Kunkka ban for now. Reserve time is low for both teams, so this draft will be ending very soon. SR1 likely want a middle laner. They want to complete the 2-0 tonight, of course. Getting that 2-0 could be what they need to really start turning their season around, which of course they're going to want to do.
Radiant team pick.
And it will be the off-lane selection. They're going to put the Mars middle, put the Centaur off-lane, say, you know what, we like the Centaur matchup into this Visage carry plus Wyvern, if that's going to be their lane in the safe lane.
10 seconds remaining.
And you know what? I like that lane too.
5 seconds remaining.
So if you're funny zone, you have one pick to turn your draft around. And it will be the Timbersaw, which makes some sense. There are a number of strength heroes on this Dire side. Chaos Knight, notably not that good into Timbersaw. Centaur, hurt by Timbersaw. Mars doesn't lane that well into Timbersaw. And even Phoenix, not that happy into Timber. So this is a very good Timber pick in that sense. So the idea for Funny Zone is going to be we are going to 5-man when we're online with our Night Stalker timing, with our Timbersaw timing, with Visage being online. That's when we're going to go. We're going to win this game early and often. You're not going to allow the CK to farm. You're not going to allow these late game team fights where Dire should have an edge. You're going to control the game from the onset. But after watching last game, because of that, I favor the draft of SenseiRaven1. I like the way they played their draft last game. This game is not as straightforward. They don't have like a TB, but they still have CK. They have some very strong team fighters, so I think they're probably going to take the 2-0. But if they want the 2-0, they still have to win game 2. There is still the Funny Zone in their way. Here we go. If you are just joining us, welcome to game number 2 The Funny Zone taking on SenseiRaven1. My name is Badger. I am joined by nobody. What can you do? But we are here, though, for hopefully a good game 2 between Funny Zone and SR1. We are already seeing some more all chat, which has been a lot of the theme of the series. A lot of all chat. Interesting proposition from Ka in the all chat, but apparently Aurora not confident, as and anti quotes. We have Curtis Cottle. Seen on your screen now is Curtis Cottle in showcase mode. Currently sitting in the Roshan pit. Should be interesting to see what happens in that sense, but both teams are grouped as either as 4 if you're Radiant, 5 if you're Dire. They're going to run at River Runes, and it seems like we'll be seeing no pre-horn action. Just 2 runes going to Funny Zone, and 2 runes going to SenseiRaven1. We are seeing Aurora tipping Jake Erdo's Keeper of the Lights. Potentially, we may be seeing a first blood attempt. Top lane Aurora is there, but it's still not the easiest first blood in the world. Unless Brightside does what he's doing right now. Big wraparound gank for Brightside. He'll tank a long duration Illuminates. But he has Spirit Siphon. Aurora walks in, has Arctic Burn, hits T. But T is absolutely fine. So it seems like they're going to commit to this tri-lane in the top lane. Simply to ruin T's game. They're going to put Timbersaw solo bottom lane. And they're going to put Visage middle lane. So they're not going for the minute 1 gank. You get a kill. They're committing to a full tri-lane, which is certainly good in terms of possibly ruining CK's farm, but it will mean that Night Stalker could end up very low level. This is a hero who loves his levels, who loves to get early 5, early 6, wants to be healthy level-wise at minute 5 for that first night. And, well, given this tri-lane, this full committal tri-lane by Jack Baboon and Aurora, it's probably not going to happen. He might be 4 at minute 5 at the absolute most. The question is, can Ned hold his own in the 1v2? Sure, he is laning into 2 different strength heroes, both of which struggle into Timbersaw, but it's top lane where the action's occurring. T will walk away and Radiant will move their attention to Brightside. Unsurprisingly, the 3 heroes are winning the trade into the 2 heroes. Back to bottom lane again, it's Ned in the 1v2. I would expect for him to lose this lane, but if he can only lose the lane by a moderate margin, then it should be fine. As long as they can capitalize on this tri-lane top lane. In top lane right now, we're seeing Chaos Bolt being thrown on Jax. Will now turn towards Brightside and T. And Ka will TP into the top lane, so it will be tri-lane versus tri-lane. You don't see it too often nowadays, but it is the tri-v-tri action. Reminds me of the good old days back in 2013 or so. It was a lot of tri-lanes in general, but teams love to flirt around with the tri-lane v tri-lane action. Good times. And then we have not looked at middle lane at all so far. It is Visage taking on Mars. So far, Mars winning on CS, but not by much. It's a very small margin. Top lane, they try to bring down Ka, but Ka dives away from the Illuminate damage, so Ka will survive. Good dive there by Ka, and now it's Brightside running at Baboon. Bold play there, but even then, he's just the strongest hero in the lane right now, seemingly. He's got a long attack range, 61 damage, and good stats with that Spirit Siphon. Back to bottom, we are seeing a full cutting going on from Garda. He is not interacting at all with Timbersaw, as Timbersaw says, you know what, I'm not going to interact with you. However, because of the way that Ned is skilled, he only has 1 point in that reactive armor. Maybe he'll get another point at 4 here. But once he has 2 points in reactive, he should be able to tank the creeps. There we go. That's a lot of regen suddenly. He's suddenly absolutely fine this lane to tank the creeps perpetually. Back over, unsurprising, a top lane. The try-v-try continues. But so far, there has been no kills. Nobody has fallen quite yet. We are seeing pings towards Jax. But Jax is still one hard man to kill. They will hit him with both supports. Siphon in by Brightside, dive in by Ka. Chaos Bolt is up and utilized, but Ka might just die first. Both heroes are low. First will be drawn by Brightside. The exchange is for Ka, but T also gets the courier of J. Curdo, so Dire get first blood and they get the courier, so that is a win right there. Back to bottom lane, we are seeing Ned just having a good time, I guess. And we see Garda, who has been desperately trying to not interact with the Timbersaw. Something as Timbersaw interact with him. And as a result, he's like, you know what, I'm TPing all the way to the fountain. I don't care that I have a Vanguard and a Bracer. I'm out. I want nothing to do with this anymore. Middle lane, we saw a gank by Cub looking for Smiley. And the last tick of Icarus dive actually kills Smiley. Sure. You get a counter kill. That is absolutely worth it on the rotation. You bring down the Visage, who most certainly wants this early game to go well, and with that death, it's suddenly a lot worse. Does mean, though, that knowing that Ka is not there, T is having a relatively rough time in this lane. He is low on HP right now. But he is still CSing. Fatal rotates in, has Arena, who use it on nobody quite yet. They're focusing down Jax, who will die on the Night Stalker. And the Radiant supports will run. It's Baboon and Aurora escaping from the carnage. But again, a death on Jax is never ideal for the side of the funny zone.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Overall, it is SR1. Slightly ahead in gold, but it is still very even right now. It is less than a 1k net worth speed, not even close to 1k even. About a 300 gold lead, but never mind. Middle lane, I don't know how I missed that kill. But that is one massive kill on Smiley. He has now died twice this game. You commit both supports to do it. But job well done. Smiley dead. That's a big death there in the Visage. Really hurts his game. Man fighting continues top lane. Siphon on Jax, but Jax still wins the trade with Brightside. Over to Coddle. He gets ganked by the Mars again. It's active team play from the side of SenseiRaven1. Coddle again falls to a second Mars rotation to this top lane.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
That's the thing, when you get these try-v-tries,
Under attack.
you end up in a situation where if you're a middle laner ganking, usually you're in a pretty fantastic spot. We saw it there, because Phalos is so much higher level than these tri-laners. Ganking works out, and Visage can't really rotate in that sense, the way that Mars can. Mars just walks up, has Spear, has Rebuke, has Arena. Sure, he lost his mid T1, which is never ideal, but it is still nice getting 2 successful ganks towards the top lane. Back to the jungle, it's Wyvern being gone upon. Fight is 4v3 though, with Smiley rotating in. Dire will stampede to bring down Baboon, but now it's T being grave chilled by Smiley. Arena in, Spear on Smiley, Sunray on top. Cut is dead, but they bring down the Visage again. It is a 2-for-2 trade, but Radiant lose their core Visage and supports. Dire only lose supports. And then back to bottom, we are seeing Ned and Garda once again doing the classic Ned tanking creeps, Garda tanking creeps. We're chilling. We are chilling in this lane at this point.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Radiant have already taken one middle lane T1 tower, and it seems like they're going to get this this top lane T1 tower as well.
Dire's top tower is under
SR1 will glyph to delay it, but there is no escape in this case.
Dire's top tower is falling.
So two T1s already dead. That is some nice momentum, and you haven't even gotten your Timbersaw involved quite yet, who's probably the strongest hero in the game right now, so potentially Radiant could start to run the train soon. We are seeing TPs in by Aurora bottom lane, expecting a gank on Ned, perhaps a move towards the T1 tower. Dire scan. But as far as they know, it's only Ned there. Arena is committed. Aurora will cold embrace. Timbersaw is low but not quite dead yet. However, the damage is just too much. The Sunray and the Urn, on top of everything else, is just too much for Ned to survive. And now Aurora, he tried to save his kind of off lane, kind of safe lane to mid laner,
Are fortified.
and he failed to save his Timbersaw, and now he's hiding in the trees.
Is under
This
attack.
T1 bottom is going to most certainly die to the siege unit plus these tanky cores.
Radiant's bottom
Ka,
tower has fallen.
as Sunray sees Aurora, and Aurora should die here, has Arctic Burn, but I don't think he can get out.
Radiant's courier has been
Rebuke kills the courier. Aurora is still juking. Dive forward, puts Ka even closer to Aurora. And that is going to result in the death of Big Dave. Spear missed. Rebuke hits Aurora. Dead. We are up to a 9-4 kill lead for SenseiRaven1, albeit they do not have the net worth lead. They are slightly behind in terms of gold. Looking over at hero net worth, in general, Dire's cores are doing better right now. Fatal fights middle lane, puts the arena on Smiley, but he will die in his own arena. Now it's Garda and Brightside, perhaps on the run, as Ned runs down Ka, shot from through, Stampede activated Ka will TP, and it will be successful. However, Brightside will be left to die. So 2 kills for the funny zone. And they're beginning to get the momentum they need. This is how they're going to win this game. Take your key early game fights when your heroes are strong. Apply the pressure. And right now, so far, at minute 12, they're playing their draft correctly. It is what they need if they want to win and bring the series to a 1-1 tie. Fatal again. Has Arena up in 38 seconds, but for now, Radiant will mostly put their attention on this dire jungle area. Top T2 could get sieged soon. Garda has been slowed by the solar bind, but he is still fine. Dire have utilized their glyph to delay for now. Radiant have only 1 creep. The push likely is dead for the time being. However, they will still hunt for kills. That will be 1 very dead Brightside. They want to get Garda and Cut as well. However, it's fatal. The 3-man arena. And now, with Supernova on top, they have the big team fight combination. They've already killed the Wyvern, but they want more. And support Wyvern. They see Ned. They see Smiley. But they're both very strong. Now Garda on the run has Stampede in 3. Will he live for 3? The answer is barely. Full Assumption almost kills Garda, but Garda survives. Ned has shotgun up in 4, but won't even be needed, so something kills Garda. Now Jax Blinks in, ascends, looking for Fatal. T casts both Ned, but Ned is one tanky Timbersaw. Now Fatal just has dropped. The Radiant gang just too Fatal for him, and now Funny Zone. They will have to back off. They've dove all the way to this mid T3 tower, but that is one successful fight. Nobody is... I mean, if we're juxtaposing these Game 1 fights, these Game 2 fights, the Game 1 fights were a lot more even outcome-wise, and during all of it, T was free farming. This game, T contributed to the fight, and yet still, Funny Zone walk away with a dominant win in that fight. More than a 1K swing in their favor. And now they're going to return to this top T2 tower. There's no longer a glyph available if you're SenseiRaven1. So, if you want to defend, it's a lot harder this time around. Ned is still nearby with the Chakram, Cut, and Brightside Smoke. They all see Ned, but Ned again chains away. Sure, Dire gets the D ward, but they do not get Ned. The arena off the mark. Ned simply walking away before the wall formed. They'll chain in. He has the Chakram. He's ready to fight. In blinks Jax, silencing on two. Brightside will Exo Radiance are not posting the DP. They're instead repositioning and running away. Now they'll turn to Brightside. Ka is dead. Brightside low. T arrives, but down goes Brightside. It's 2 for 1 so far. They've lost their Timbersaw on the Radiant side. Phoenix has bought back. Has Supernova available when he returns to the fight. He brings in Smiley, but it's at the cost of his life. Supernova has been activated, but at this point, Radiants have juked away from Supernova. We've returned to nighttime. Illuminate on 2. Fatal is fallen. Garda is low. Smiley is still alive. And down goes Garda. Ka, the lone survivor, is dead. That's a full 5-man wipe, technically. And Funny Zone. That is the exact team fight they needed. They are now up by 5K net worth. They are firmly in the driver's seat, and I doubted their ability to win this game. I said after watching Game 1, after watching their team fighting Game 1, they were not going to be able to execute on the Visage strat again, but this time, Game 1 was a warm-up game. They're now prepared to fight with their Smiley Visage, and they're up by 6K. Somehow this top T2 remains alive, but eventually it's going to die, right? It has to eventually die. Garda is on the defense, though, so maybe it'll be alive for a little bit longer. The siege units, which could have been quite the boon for the Radiant, has fallen. But there are still Visage Familiars if Smiley wants to commit for the T2. Lincoln by Jax. Finding Garda, Ned will Chakram and Whirling Death. Hope Stomp hits on 2. The TP is away, but the Winter's Curse will cancel said TP. Garda will Stampede and will get away. So a lot of commitment by both teams to an extent. The Winter's Curse for the Stampede. But now, we can have their eyes upon Fatalness middle lane. He will Arena and Spear J. Curdo. But at this point, Fatal, I don't think can escape. Ka will TP away from Jax. Fatal actually will TP away as well. There were no cancels available. None of them were up. Jax still had the Void on cooldown. It was not in range anyways, I don't think. And even then, Aurora had Curse on cooldown. So that's one of the concerns, though, with the strat is it's a lack of stuns. So, 2 familiar stomps, Winter's Curse and Void. It's not the greatest crowd control in the world right now. We're seeing Garda apply a lot of pressure to this top lane. He will lose his life for his play, but notice, Radiant want to hit the T2 tower. Their wave is with the Centaur right now. Sure, Centaur has died. Actually, TP was not successful, but he has forced away a lot of Radiant's attention to push in this top lane to once again reapply pressure to this tower. But by the time the wave gets here, we're going to have Centaur quite soon.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
However, I do think this T2 tower top is going to die this time. I don't think it can escape the wrath of Smiley.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
We are seeing SenseiRaven1 split farming.
Has been denied.
T1 mid was denied by Baboon, so if Dire do glyph this wave, Radiant can glyph their own wave. It is certainly an option. Dire are not glyphing, they will let the tower fall. And they will use the time, whatever they can, to farm up on T in the Radiant side jungle. We are potentially looking at this first Roshan of the game quite soon, though. Smiley is almost at his Wraith Pack, but even then, he doesn't even need the Wraith Pack to kill Roshan. The Vlads and the Boots of Bearing will be more than enough for Radiant to pretty easily take this first Roshan of the game. Third Roshan of the series. We are seeing Jax again pushing in this top lane, looking to get information. The remainder of his team sits in Roshan. Supports are outside the pit to break potential smoke ganks, but there will be no smoke gank. It will be a free Roshan, no trades for the side of the Funny Zone. Aegis goes to Smiley on the Visage. We are seeing a smoke up from Aurora, from Ned, and from Jax. They could be looking for some big kills in middle lane. Jax is on the wraparound. Gank has BKB, Blink, and Dark Ascension, but has been spotted by a Dire side observer ward.
Dire structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Mid T2 is the target of the Radiant's ire. Dire have glyphed, but again, it won't delay things forever. A new wave will arrive in about 25 more seconds. Perhaps Dire will reposition by then to defend this tower. Fatal and Garda are a short walk away, and the remainder of the team has TP scrolls. We are seeing Ned top lane with a siege units. If Funny Zone really are feeling bold, they can go for this top T3, and they are feeling bold. They have the Aegis. They know they're strong. They remember what happened last game. They want to apply the pressure. Blink, Hoof Stomp, hits on 2. I'd say Blink reveal from Garda. It results in no kills. The T3 is dead. The Wraith Pack is online for Smiley. Ned will Yule to dodge the Chaos Bolt. Arena Spear hits on Timsaw, but again, Jackson silence backline. Stampede has been popped. Supernova on the floor, but Radiant are remaining relatively fine. Curse is on T as illusions. Chakram in as well. Fatal low, T low. They've stunned Ned once again. Ned is silenced by Bright Side, but Jax blinks in to kill T. Chaos Knight down. Radiant pursue Dire all the way. Their Fountain almost. Ka is dead. They move to Brightside. T2 is dead. They'll move to Garda. Garda will attempt to run away, but he's being chased all the way to the Fountain this time. 4 kills now for Funny Zone. They'll move to Fatal. They'll go to the Fountain even. Into the Fountain. He is dead. A triple kill for Jax. A full 5-man wipe for the Funny Zone. Well, it's looking a lot like we're going to have a 1-1 draw in this best of 2 between the Funny Zone and SenseiRaven1. It is not over quite yet, but that is a full set of barracks taken top lane. Smiley still has the Aegis for 2 more minutes.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And they could even move for more barracks.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
I mean, they know they're strong. They're up by 12k right now. Lincoln by Garda onto Ned's Timbersaw, but he is still absolutely fine. Both Hood and Yule's not even used there on the Timbersaw. So if you are SenseiRaven1, you need to hope that Funny Zone will overextend after the Aegis is lost. Smiley has a minute 30 duration remaining on that Visage Aegis. During that time, they will take the bottom T1 tower, and almost certainly the bottom tier 2 tower as well. Again, SR1 will split and farm, which means it will be a very free T2 bottom lane. And again, if they want to go high ground, it's certainly possible. Ned has walked high grounds. Smiley as well. He'll begin working on a second set of barracks. Aegis is up for 40 more seconds. Fatal TP's in. Middle of danger. He'll beat KB. He has Arena only on Jax. Dire split their attention. They are going on multiple targets. Visage and Night Stalker. Visage actually still has Aegis for 24 more seconds. Now Dire will finish one kill. They get Big Dave, but now Jax BKB's attention is turned. Looking for T. T is low. Can he toggle hard enough? No! Jax has gotten the kill. As Smiley kills Brightside and now runs at Garda. Garda will fall as well, and now Jax. He walks away from the tier 4 towers. It is a 4v2 in the Dire base. Aegis has expired. At this point, what can you possibly do? Your range racks dead. Your melee racks are going to fall. There is no defending. Jax is blinked in. There's a Yule's on Phoenix. DP is dead. The Phoenix is going to die soon as well. Mars is the lone survivor, and he is far from his safety in the fountain. The GG is called, and that will be a 1-1 draw between Funny Zone and SenseiRaven1. That was a pretty good series. I mean, both teams won a game in pretty dominant fashion. Funny Zone certainly got their game win in faster fashion than SenseiRaven1, but it comes down to the strategy. You know, Funny Zone won with an up-tempo Visage pick. So unsurprisingly, they won very, very early in the game. For SR1, they had the Terrorblade strat, so they were fine going into the late game, nice and fine. But we are going to look at some grass real fast, but we are going to wrap it up quite soon. Overall, Funny Zone definitely need that game 2 win. They are now 5-9 record-wise. They're still not in a great spot in terms of the standings, but they certainly needed that win in terms of positioning. If you're SenseiRaven1, you are now down to 4-10. A rough loss to have. They had an optimistic outlook after game 1, I'm sure, but game 2 did not go in their favor. Game 2, Funny Zone execute on their Visage strat, so what can you do? I'm going to be back on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my main man, Logical Dota 2, luckily. We'll be casting Sus versus Drayden Fan Club, so that'll be fun. I might pick up a cast on Thursday or Friday. Probably not. I still feel terrible. I mean, now I'm kind of tired throat-wise as well from casting these games, so maybe I'll come back Thursday or Friday. You never know, but maybe not. Maybe one of the 2 nights I'll be going off. But As always, if you want me to cast your games, cast your tournaments, if you want to hire me and Logical for your pro tournaments, contact me on Twitter, twitter.com/BadgerDota2, or on Discord at Badger5713. I am done for the night, though. Maybe I'll raid someone. I don't know. But either way, thank you for watching, and as always, have a great night.